National Green Building Standards. On the left, the ICC 700. That's a green code for residential buildings. National Association of Home Builders was heavily engaged in that. In the middle, ASHRAE standard 189.1. Now that ASHRAE standard is quite a bit different from your typical energy code. Why? It focuses on site issues. It focuses on water efficiency issues, materials, resource issues, indoor environmental quality issues. It's not just energy. Energy is incredibly important. Hey, to me, I'm an energy guy, okay? To me, that's what makes the world go round or stop, right? A lot of us are that way, right? We wouldn't be in this room. The issue is energy is critically important because it's the biggest impact in the environment and on the pocketbook of a lot of these things. But you look at it and you realize, well, why is ASHRAE, the American Society of, Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning Engineers, why are they focusing on site and all these other issues? Well, think about it. Think about how energy impacts all those other areas, how the site is designed. If you design sites with maybe less asphalt, maybe there will be less urban heat island effect. If you have shading, you can shade some of the windows and the walls and keep the heating bills down. The cooling bills down, the heating bills. Keep the cooling bills down, right? How about a site that allows you to take pervious materials and recharge the aquifer? Stormwater comes, it lands on the ground, it drips into the ground, recharges the aquifer, the trees grow, the birds are happy, everything's wonderful, right? As opposed to some of the alternatives, where you put down as much asphalt as humanly possible. You funnel all of the water to one location, you take that water and send it to a storm sewer, you drive that water all the way to a publicly owned water treatment facility. You clean that up cleaner than most people in the world get water. And then you bring it back to the same location of where that water fell onto the ground from the sky so that you can put it through a drip system and feed the plant that's there. Yeah, there's a lot of energy engaged in that. Think about it, of moving water, pumping water. That's why the Energy Policy Act of 1992 was some people have nasty things to say about it, but what it did, it came out and it said toilets will no longer flush with 3.5 gallons, they will now flush with 1.6 gallons. And of course that was heck because the toilets were not designed to flush with 1.6 gallons. And that's why people were smuggling toilets in from Canada. The modern day Kennedys running toilets whoosh, through Flushing, New York and down the pike, right? But that's important. If we reduce the amount of water that's flowing, then that reduces the amount of water that we need to pump and sewage that we need to treat. It's logical. Materials the same way. If materials come from a local or regional area, it takes less energy. If you use more recycled materials, it takes less energy generally. All of these aspects. That's why ASHRAE standard 189.1 focuses on site, water, materials, indoor environmental quality, of course, ventilation standards. Think about that. What's inside that is 90.1, the energy standard, 62, the ventilation standard. Think about what happened after the Arab oil embargo and the energy policy. And Jimmy Carter, tighten your belt, put on a sweater, and set back the outside air. Well, got a little bad inside, right? Called sick building syndrome. We realize people do need oxygen. That's information. Well, I guess it's knowledge and wisdom too. People need oxygen on a daily basis, quite frequently throughout the day, in fact, and they need a good quality of it. And so we learned that. So you see the ventilation standard in there also. To the right, the International Green Construction Code. Now, if you've heard of the LEED program, the U.S. Green Building Council LEED program, an imperfect, voluntary green building code, that was heavily involved in the design of both of the green standards on the right. It was the basis, ultimately. So if you were to build to the IGCC, you would be building ultimately to around a LEED silver standard. ASHRAE 189, focusing on LEED, top 25% of the market. It's pushing the envelope a bit, if you will. Providing minimum requirements for sustainable buildings serves as a baseline to drive green buildings into the mainstream. Katherine Hammack, who came from this community. She's now Assistant Secretary of the Army for Environment, Installations, and Energy. And she was sitting on the committees for, I think, 189.1 and also the IGCC. But she adopted the 189.1 as the basis for Army installations, because the IGCC wasn't as developed ready at that time. So we're seeing individuals from our own community having impact on the market, locally and nationally and internationally. Codes and standards, it becomes that alphabet soup. We have some of the best programs in the country, one of them right here, the Scottsdale Green Building Program, one of the oldest and most lauded of green building programs in the country. And those of you who are going to be learning today with Anthony Floyd, I mean, he's the guy that did this, along with a very empowered community of people in Scottsdale. It's tremendous.